The sky is gray, the ground is hard, my boots are heavy, I walk the line, the sun is white, the air is dead. The four pass me, the figure waves, the code is black. He holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key. His coat is ash, his face is stone, the wind is loud, I stand alone. The king of dust, he calls the name, he calls my name. The four pass me, the figure wave, the cold is black. He holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key, he holds the key. Turn around, the path is closed, the soul is bare, the soul is exposed. Post office clerk handed over the heavy iron key. I walk past the harbor where the trawlers sit low. The cottage smelled of damp pull and old coal fires. A loose board by the hearth felt soft underfoot. Tucked in the dark was a ledger bound in green. The ink was faded but the hand was steady. It spoke of the fog that moves against the wind, and the things that arrive when the tide is full. The tide is coming. Is an invitation written in a dead man's hand to watch the shingle in the gray reach of the sea. You do not belong here until you have seen them, the visitors who leave no tracks upon the sand. I read about the figure in the long yellow coat. He stands by the breakwater when the moon is thin. The diary says he carries a lamp with no flame and asks for a direction that no map can show. The previous tenant kept a tally of the knocks, 3 on the wood and 1 on the window glass. He wrote that the silence is a heavy kind of debt, paid by the ones who choose to stay behind. The tide is coming. Is an invitation written in a dead man's hand to watch the shingle in the grey reach of the sea. You do not belong here until you have seen them. Visitors who leave no tracks upon the sands. And it's cold tonight. The kettle starts its sharp and lonely whistle. I see a light moving slowly across the marsh. It matches the entry from the winter of '69. My own name is penciled on the final leaf. I am the witness now, the keeper of the gate. Written in a dead man's hand to watch the shingle and the grey reach of the sea. You do not belong here until you have seen them. The visitors who leave no tracks upon the sand. The sand is cold tonight. I put the book back beneath the floor. I turn the porch light on and wait, watching the graves. The shingle is moving, the sand is cold. Sky is a sheet of wet leaf, hanging low above the garden wall. The wool of your coat is heavy, and the rain runs down your neck. See the garden soil turning black, and the iris folding in the cold. I have no silver for band, and the mill has been closed a year. My hands are hard from the timber, and the iron I have moved for pay. But I reckon I could hold you fast while the river rises in the lane. I will walk with you in the downpour. I will stay until the earth takes us in. Until the earth takes us in. It's slate on the roof, it's slick in the ash tree bends toward the yard. I am asking for your weary hand to plant a life in this damp ground. We will grow like the stubborn moss between the stones of this old house. I will walk with you in the downpour. I will stay until the earth takes us in. Until the earth takes us in. Clouds are overflowing now, and the world has turned to water. Do not look for a clear day to say you will be mine for good. The mud will dry upon our boots, and we will be the dust together. I will walk with you in the downpour. I will stay until the earth takes us in. Till the earth takes us in. Stay until the end. The rain comes down, the rain comes down, and I am here. The engine heaves through the limestone cutting where the elderberry hangs heavy and bruised. I watch the heath dissolve into a grey wool while the tallow lamp on the table trembles. This carriage is a rib of a giant beast, swaying through the valley of my father's youth. The first stop was a village of flint and bone. Flint and bone. A name on a sign I could not quite read. My reflection is a stranger in the dark pane, neither young nor old, just a passenger. We passed the quarry where the machines sleep, rusting under the weight of a heavy dew. Here the ledger of my middle years was written in the suit on the brick of the signal box. The brakes screech a high choral lament as we slide past the platform of a hollow town. No one gets on and no one departs. No one departs. We are a ghost ship on a river of iron. The landscape is a hand that pulls the quilt over the ankles of the sleeping hill. Carry the weight of the lineage storm, indifferent to indifferent. Small is the man in the belly of the wood, small is the word in the throat of the Fenland opens like a book of damp paper, silt and brine rising to meet the floorboards. I am a collection of unposted letters. Unposted letters. A series of rooms with the windows latched. The train does not stop for the weary of heart. It only gathers the dust into its wake. The brakes sigh, the steam vanishes into the black pine. Another station, another page unturned. I am leaning on the oak sideboard in 17A4. The Earl is complaining about his gout again. My trainers look ridiculous next to his buckled shoes. I'm supposed to be documenting the tax record, but I am mostly thinking about a bag of crisps. The air smells like wet dogs and expensive wax. Nobody has brushed their teeth for 3 decades. It is a bit overwhelming if I'm being honest. I keep checking my wrist for a watch I forgot. The fireplace spitting bits of soot on my jeans. It is just a house with too many windows. The damn patches never really change their shape. I am moving through the years like a bad drive, watching people trip over the same loose road. It is not exactly the grand tour I expected. Now it's 1912 and the garden is crowded. They're serving those tiny sandwiches with no crust. A bloke in a stiff collar is talking about horses. I think he might be my great-great-uncle or something. He has got the same chin and a nervous twitch. Fell all to sell his stocks now, but I am just here to observe the social decay. The velvet curtains are heavy and full of dust. I sneeze during the toast and ruin the moment. History is mostly just waiting for things to happen. It is just a house with too many windows. The damn patches never really change their shape. I am moving through the years like a bad drive, watching people trip over the same loose rug. It is not exactly the grand tour I expected. In 1852, the scullery maid broke a porcelain jug. She cried for 20 minutes near the back door. I stood there holding a clipboard, feeling like a prick. I could've caught it was faster, but the rules of the fellowship are quite strict. No interference with the domestic staff or the ceramics. I just watched the milk pool on the flagstones, the same as milk looks in the present. Just a house with too many windows. The damn patches never really change their shape. I am moving through the years like a bad drive, watching people trip over the same loose rug. It is not exactly the grand tour I expect. I think I'll go back to the gift shop. I need to buy a postcard for my mom. The bus leaves in 20 minutes and 50 years. I'm tired of looking at this high ceiling. The ink is drying on a manifesto of my utter devotion. A tactical error composed in the middle of a humid afternoon. I'm curating a version of you that never disagrees, pinned to the corkboard of my memory like a vintage butterfly. It's a marvelous performance, this longing for the unavailable, measured in nautical miles and the price of international stamps. You're a masterpiece when you aren't standing in the foyer, a perfect silhouette against the fog of the English Channel. Such a perfect view. I'm calculating the trajectory of a letter across the Atlantic, checking the weather patterns for any sign of emotional interference. It's an exercise in discipline to keep the passenger seat empty. Oh, the heart grows bloated with the distance we maintain, a balloon expanding in the vacuum of your departure. I love you more with every time zone. That that separates our sleep. It's much easier to worship a statue than a breathing human being. Worship the stone. There's a specific luxury in missing the way you hold a teacup, without the actual clatter of the porcelain hitting the floor. I've become a professional voyeur of my own nostalgia, reviewing the archives of our last physical encounter with the lens. My affection is a pyramid scheme, and I'm the only investor, building monuments to a woman who is currently 3 borders away. Your absence is the most fashionable thing I've ever worn, a tailored suit of loneliness that fits me quite impeccably. Fits like a second skin. I'm drafting the litigation for our eventual reconciliation, assuming the role of the martyr in this long-distance theater. The silence on the line is the loudest part of the arrangement. Oh, the heart grows bloated with the distance we maintain, a balloon expanding in the vacuum of your departure. I love you more with every time zone that separates our sleep. It's much easier to worship a statue than a breathing human being. Don't come back too soon and ruin the aesthetic. The aesthetic is everything. Don't walk through the door, break the spell of your perfection. Spell of your perfection. I've polished your image until it reflects my own ego, a sanctified version of that can never survive the laundry or the dishes or the way you breathe when you're annoyed. Stay exactly where you are, 3,000 miles from reality. Oh, the heart grows bloated with the distance we maintain. A balloon expanding in the vacuum of your departure. I love you more with every time zone that separates our sleep. It's much easier to worship a statue than a breathing human being. silver chain on your neck, cold against the heat. We keep moving fast, tracing every street. It's been there through it all, dull against the skin. Since we left that town, letting summer in. Hold it tight now, feel the metal pulse, weight of everything turning into us. It's the silver link, keeping us in time. 10 years on the clock, still you're properly mine. Never let it snap, never let it go. Dance until the morning in the heavy flow. Scratched up in the rain, parked outside the pub. You look just the same in this sweaty club. Tenant on the edge from that night in June. Still the only thing steady in the room. Hold it tight now, feel the metal pulse, weight of everything turning into us. It's the silver link, keeping us in time. 10 years on the clock, still you're properly mine. Never let it snap, never let it go. Dance until the morning in the heavy flow. Heavy metal, heavy love. All the pressure not in enough. Every line, 1, 2, 3, 4, keep it on the floor. It's the silver link, keeping us in time. 10 years on the clock, still you're properly mine. Never let it snap, never let it go. Dance until the morning in the heavy flow. Silver link, silver link, silver link. Don't you let it snap. Alright then. Found it wedged beneath the viaduct, grey like and obscure. The deliberate script, I used a copper corn to scrape the moss away. It felt like a summons to be elsewhere. The damp wool of my coat smelled of sheep and articulate hand. It carved these lines. Read the story, where the river bends like a broken arm beneath the elderberry and the rusted iron. The promise was written in a dead tone. I am walking toward a shifting point. Walk past the silent Methodist chapel, Director watched me from a high window. I am deciphering geometry of the weeds. A collection of vowels carved into heavy slate. My boots are heavy with the soil in Surrey. The air is thick with the scent of wet ferns. Keep moving, where the river bends like a broken arm. Beneath the elderberry and the rusted iron, promise was written in a dead tongue. I am walking toward a shifting woods in a chest of silver and just a view. The map is my own palm held in the rain. My social grace has vanished in the mud. I prefer the company of the ancient. Oh, is it there? Is it there? Where the river bends like a broken arm. Neath the elderberry and the rusted iron, the promise was written in a dead tongue. I am walking toward a shifting point. Destination is a pile of flint, nothing but the wind in the gorse. The treasure is the way of the key, a shifting point, a shifting point. The bottom drawer of the bureau sticks. I have to shimmy it with a ruler. Hidden under a pile of bank statements is a letter in a cream envelope. The stamp features a queen with gray hair. The postmark is blurred but legible. It reads October 1998. The name on the paper is mine. The address is this exact building, but the man you wrote to does not exist. I am just the tenant who took his place. Not live here. I slice the seal with a butter knife. The paper is thick and textured. You ask about the leak in the roof, and if I finish the book on Rome. I remember that book very clearly. Train near Leeds. I never found out how the empire fell. I sit on the carpet and read it twice. It feels like spying on a stranger. You use a nickname I haven't heard since I stopped smoking. Are shaking just a little. The name on the paper is mine. The address is this exact building, but the man you wrote to does not exist. I He just now closed the drawer. I parked the Vauxhall by the cattle grid. The handbrake doesn't hold like it used to. My wool jumper is damp from the valley air, and the grass is slick against my shins. I'm looking for that heap of Victorian stone, standing like a jagged tooth against the sky. I've got your heavy keys in my pocket, clinking against a packet of paracetamol. First chime hits me in the chest. It's the sound of the heavy hospital doors closing behind the nurse who wouldn't look at me. I remember the plastic taste of the water and the way the radiator clicked in the dark. You were always waiting for the time to pass, and now the time is all that's left of you. It's not a pilgrimage if I'm just lost. The valley's holding its breath. The clock tower has no face left to show, but I can hear every minute we wasted echoing off the damp limestone wall. The second chime is the afternoon of the funeral, standing in the mud in my only good suit, watching a crow sit on a rusted pile. And someone said you were in a better place, but I know you'd rather be in the kitchen, burning the toast and swearing at the radio. Mist is just the breath of the hills, tasting a wet earth and old iron. The third chime is the silence of the drive home. The fourth is the way you looked in the light. The fifth is the phone that never rang again. Never rang again. The bell is broken, but it won't stop ringing. Bell is broken. I'm standing at the base of the rock. It won't stop ringing. I brought your keys, but there's no door left. No door. Just the wind through the belfry. Just the wind. Just the weight of the valley. Just the weight. It's the 100 beats per minute. My heart is underneath. The time is gone. The time is gone. The time is gone.